Let's have a look at some of the most common Docker commands that you want to do. First off, we have Docker images that shows us the images, the Dockerized images that we have installed. And as you can see, there are none. I now search for Ubuntu images, and as you can see, there's a large number of Ubuntu Dockerized images out there on the public repositories. But for this example, I want to use the standard Ubuntu Dockerized image. And to download that image, I want to do something that's called a pull. So I'm going to do a Docker pull Ubuntu. That will pull down the image from the public repository, and after that I have a bunch of Ubuntu images that I can use. Pulling down the Ubuntu image actually downloads pretty much all the most recent Ubuntu images. As you can see, it's downloading a lot of stuff here. What's cool about this is that we can utilize all those images for anything. And I want to show you what we can do here. We can actually run all these images at the same time if we want to. We can run any type of Ubuntu distribution, Ubuntu version. As you can see here, we're going to be running the 14.04 version, which was recently released. I'm running a command called cat to show the contents of a file called etc lsb release. That file contains the information about the release of Ubuntu that I'm running. And as you can see, I'm actually starting up a new Ubuntu release every time I run this command. I'm starting up a container. That container contains its own file system, root file system, services, and binaries. And the cat command is included there. And you can see when I'm booting up these containers, it's really quick. As you can see here, I'm booting up a 10.04 container in a bit over 400 milliseconds and a 14.04 container in a bit less than 400 milliseconds. This is not a virtual machine. This is a Ubuntu container that we're starting up. That Ubuntu container contains its own root file system, its own binaries and libraries, its own networking and everything that's needed to be able to make services run inside that container. But they all share the same kernel. So that's cool, but how about we actually look at running a service within that container? We're going to try this out by using a software called Redis. It's a key value store that can be used for many purposes, and it's very popular out there. So let's see how we can do that within Docker. First off, we're going to do a regular pull just like we did with the Ubuntu images. We're going to pull down a Redis image, a pre-packaged Redis image that has the operating system and the services on top of it, so we can start using it immediately. When the download has completed, we can start up Redis using the different versions that are installed here, or we can just go with the latest one. So let's start off by using the latest one and start that inside a container. And when we do that, I want to attach a terminal so I can actually interact with it while it's running. So here you can actually see that I'm running a Redis database, and you can see the logs immediately here. So this database is actually up and running right now. So I can exit the terminal that I have attached to the Docker container, but I'm not exiting the service itself. So we can have a look at the running services here by using docker ps command. You can see that we have a container here that is running the Redis server, and it was created 2 hours ago, and it's been up for 35 seconds. It has a port that it's using for the Redis service. It's also been given a random name, and you'll see more of those random names as I start up more of these. You might not want to run all your services with an attached terminal to them. So instead of having that, we can actually run them as daemons immediately. And I'll show you how that works as well. You can see here, when we run it as a daemon, we just get the unique ID for that specific container. When I'm running them as daemons, you don't see the log output, but you instead get a unique ID. So we can actually look at the logs for this specific container by using the docker logs command. So you can see that the log is pretty similar to what we saw in the terminal, and that's exactly what we wanted. We can start up a number of these, so we can actually run the same command several times and get a lot of containers started up with a Redis database in them. If we do a docker ps now, you will see that we have a bunch of different containers running on the same server with the same services. So we're actually having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Redis databases running in their own containers with their own root file system, their own networking, their own IP addresses. So in the end, we can run multiple versions of the same service. So we can run several versions of Redis, for instance, or we can run a lot of different applications on top of the same server using containers. So within containers, you can run pretty much whatever you want, whatever service you want, whatever software you want. I would just recommend you to try it out and have fun with it.